The Amityville Horror House. On November 13, 1974, a gruesome tragedy took place in a large three-story Dutch colonial home at 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York. Ronald Butch DeFeo Jr., a 23-year-old man, walked into a bar and frantically declared that his entire family had been murdered. When police arrived at the house, they discovered a horrific scene: the bodies of 6 people, Ronald's parents and his 4 younger siblings, all shot dead in their beds. Each had been killed with a .35 caliber rifle, and yet not a single neighbor heard a sound, despite the fact that no silencers were used. Ronald DeFeo Jr. initially blamed the murders on a mob hitman, but inconsistencies in his story led to his arrest. Soon, he confessed, claiming he had been possessed by demonic voices that urged him to kill his family in cold blood. He was sentenced to 6 consecutive life terms, but the real terror of 112 Ocean Avenue was just beginning. In December 1975, just 13 months after the murders, the Lutz family, George and Kathy Lutz, along with their 3 children, moved into the house. They were fully aware of the horrific past, but saw it as their dream home and purchased it at a steep discount. However, what should have been a fresh start quickly turned into a nightmare. Within the first few days, the Lutz family reported disturbing phenomena: doors and windows opening and closing on their own, cold spots in certain rooms despite the heating system working, unexplained noises, knocking, footsteps, whispers, a black sticky slime oozing from the walls and keyholes, a foul, unidentifiable odor spreading through the house. The most terrifying experience belonged to George Lutz. He began waking up at exactly 3:15 a.m. every night, the same time the DeFeo murders had taken place. His personality began to change. He became irritable, obsessed with the fireplace, and felt an unseen presence controlling him. Kathy experienced something just as terrifying. She claimed to have levitated above her bed, and on several occasions she saw a demonic, pig-like creature with glowing red eyes staring at her through the windows. Their children weren't spared either. Their daughter, Missy, began talking to an imaginary friend named Jody, who she claimed was a demonic pig that could change its size at will. When Missy told her parents that Jody didn't like when they argued, they grew terrified. Desperate for answers, Kathy Lutz brought a priest, Father Mancuso, to bless the house. But the moment he entered, an invisible force slapped him across the face, and a loud voice growled, "Get out!" The priest warned the family to leave, but they refused until the activity escalated to horrifying levels. One night, George woke up to see Kathy's face aging rapidly, her hair turning white, her skin wrinkling and sagging as if something was draining her life. Meanwhile, the children's beds began shaking violently, and claw marks appeared on the bedroom walls. But the final straw came when green slime started oozing from the walls, and a dark figure appeared at the top of the staircase, glaring down at the family. After just 28 days, the Lutz family fled the house, leaving everything behind. Their story became national news, leading to the publication of The Amityville Horror Book by Jay Anson and several movie adaptations. However, skeptics questioned the Lutz's story, claiming they fabricated the events for publicity. Experts noted that no previous owners had ever reported hauntings, and forensic analysts pointed out inconsistencies in the Lutz's timeline. Yet, some paranormal investigators insist that something truly evil lurks in the house. In 1976, Ed and Lorraine Warren, famous demonologists, investigated the home. Lorraine, a clairvoyant, immediately sensed a powerful demonic presence and refused to stay inside for too long. The Warrens took a now infamous photograph of what appears to be the ghost of a young boy peering out from the stairs, which they claim was one of the DeFeo children. Over the years, multiple residents have lived in the Amityville house, with some denying paranormal activity and others refusing to discuss their experiences. The house was even remodeled and its address changed in an effort to deter unwanted visitors. But the legend of Amityville's haunted past refuses to die. Whether the events were real, exaggerated, or entirely fabricated, the story of the Amityville Horror House remains one of the most infamous hauntings in history, a chilling tale that continues to fascinate and terrify to this day. The Curse of Oak Island. Off the coast of Nova Scotia, Canada, sits a mysterious and foreboding place, Oak Island. A dense tree-covered stretch of land that has fueled centuries of speculation, rumor, and relentless treasure hunting. For over 200 years, Oak Island has been at the heart of one of history's most enduring mysteries, a legend of hidden riches buried deep beneath its surface, fiercely guarded by traps, deadly accidents, and a sinister curse that is said to have claimed multiple lives. The legend began in 1795 when a teenager named Daniel McGinnis was wandering the island and stumbled upon something strange, an unnatural-looking depression in the ground beneath a towering oak tree. Suspended from one of the branches was an old ship's tackle block, suggesting that something had been hoisted into the hole beneath. McGinnis and his friends, John Smith and Anthony Vaughan, began to dig. At 10 feet down, they found a layer of wooden planks covering the shaft. Their excitement grew. They continued digging, and every 10 feet, another layer of logs appeared. Someone, long ago, had deliberately constructed a deep, hidden shaft for an unknown purpose. Eventually, they realized the task was too great for them and abandoned the dig. Years later, a more organized effort was mounted by a company called the Onslow Company, which took up the search in 1803. As they dug deeper, more layers of logs, charcoal, coconut fiber, and putty were discovered, all carefully arranged, as if to protect something. Then, at 90 feet, they discovered a mysterious stone tablet covered in strange symbols. The tablet was taken for study, and its cryptic markings were later allegedly deciphered to read, 40 feet below, 2 million pounds are buried. The revelation was electrifying. Treasure hunters dug deeper, but at 98 feet, they struck disaster. When the workers returned the next morning, the shaft had filled with water, rendering further excavation impossible. It was as if the island itself was fighting back. For the next 2 centuries, countless expeditions tried to reach the supposed treasure, but each one was met with mysterious flooding, tunnel collapses, and traps that seemed almost designed to protect whatever lay below. It was eventually discovered that ingenious flood tunnels had been constructed. Seawater from Smith's Cove was funneled into the pit, making it impossible to dig past a certain depth without the entire shaft becoming a watery tomb. The speculation surrounding Oak Island's mystery deepened. Theories about the treasure's origins ranged from pirate gold left by Captain Kidd or Blackbeard to lost Templar artifacts, including the Holy Grail and Ark of the Covenant. Some even believed that Shakespeare's lost manuscripts were buried there, hidden by the philosopher and alleged true author of Shakespeare's plays, Sir Francis Bacon. However, the mystery of Oak Island was not just one of treasure, it was also one of death. Over the years, at least 6 men have died in their efforts to uncover its secrets. The curse of Oak Island is said to claim that 7 must die before the treasure is found. In the 1950s, a new excavation effort led by Robert Dunfield used heavy machinery to dig up the money pit. However, his efforts only led to more flooding, cave-ins, and mysterious mechanical failures. In the 1960s, a team called the Restel family took over, determined to solve the mystery once and for all. But tragedy struck. Robert Restel and his son were both killed by poisonous gas while exploring one of the shafts. Despite the deaths, Oak Island's legend only grew. In recent years, the treasure hunt has continued with the Lagainas, a family of modern-day explorers featured in the popular TV series The Curse of Oak Island. Their high-tech investigations have uncovered ancient coins, wooden structures, mysterious tunnels, and evidence of human activity dating back centuries. Yet, the ultimate prize, whatever it may be, remains elusive. The island seems to guard its secrets with a supernatural force, one that has claimed lives, ruined fortunes, and driven men to the brink of obsession. Whether it holds a lost treasure, historical artifacts, or nothing at all, Oak Island's legend endures, luring new generations into its depths. The Ghosts of the Stanley Hotel. The Stanley Hotel, perched high in the mountains of Estes Park, Colorado, is a place where history and mystery intertwine. Built in 1909 by Freeland Oscar Stanley, co-founder of the Stanley Motor Carriage Company, the hotel was originally a luxurious retreat for the wealthy elite looking to escape the summer heat. However, over the years, the Stanley has become known for something far more chilling than its breathtaking views and grand architecture. It is widely regarded as one of the most haunted hotels in America, a place where the past refuses to fade and where guests check in for a night of luxury, only to leave with stories of unexplainable encounters. Its ghostly reputation was solidified when Stephen King spent a fateful night in room 217, an experience that later inspired his legendary horror novel, The Shining. He and his wife arrived at the Stanley on the last night of the season, finding themselves the only guests in the vast, empty hotel. That night, King had a vivid nightmare of his son being chased through the hotel's hallways by an unseen force. When he awoke, shaken, he immediately began formulating the story that would become one of the most terrifying books and later films of all time. But King is far from the only guest to have experienced the hotel's haunted halls. Of all the rooms in the Stanley Hotel, room 217 remains the most infamous due to the lingering presence of Elizabeth Wilson, a former housekeeper. In 1911, an explosion occurred in this very room when Wilson was attempting to light the gas lamps. A gas leak had unknowingly filled the room, and when she struck a match, a massive explosion destroyed part of the second floor. Wilson miraculously survived, though she suffered broken ankles. Since her passing, guests have reported odd occurrences in room 217. Lights turn on and off by themselves. Guests wake up to find their luggage mysteriously unpacked. An unseen force tucks them into bed as if ensuring they sleep comfortably. Women staying in room 217 often report feeling comforted by her presence, but male guests have had more troubling experiences. Some men have been nudged out of bed in the middle of the night or felt an ice-cold presence near them, as if Wilson disapproves of their stay. The fourth floor is by far the most active. Originally, this floor housed the nannies and children of wealthy guests, and many believe the spirits of these children have never left. Guests staying on this floor frequently report the sound of children laughing and running down the halls, despite no children being present. Bed sheets are pulled off beds while guests sleep, and in room 401, some guests claim to wake up to the feeling of someone sitting on the edge of their bed, only to find no one there. Before Freeland Stanley purchased the land, it was owned by Lord Dunraven, an Irish aristocrat known for his shady dealings. Though he never built a home on the land, many believe his spirit remains at the Stanley. Room 407 is said to be his favorite haunt, and guests report seeing a shadowy figure standing near the bed late at night. The distinct smell of cigar smoke, despite the hotel being a non-smoking facility. The bathroom door unlocking on its own. One guest even reported seeing a man's face staring at them from the window, from the inside, when they were standing outside. In the concert hall, an apparition named Paul has made his presence known for years. Paul worked at the Stanley in the early 1900s and was responsible for enforcing a strict curfew when the hotel operated under early 20th century etiquette. Today, guests and staff report hearing a stern male voice whispering, "Get out," late at night. Some who linger too long in the concert hall have felt a sudden cold chill, while others have experienced an invisible hand brushing against them. Paranormal investigators attempting to communicate with Paul have reported clear EVP electronic voice phenomenon recordings of a man's voice giving commands like "leave" or "quiet." While these are the most famous hauntings, the Stanley Hotel is filled with strange activity. Staff members often hear voices calling their names when no one else is around. Security cameras have picked up shadowy figures moving down hallways. Guests frequently feel sudden cold spots, even in the heat of summer. Visitors taking photos of mirrors sometimes capture faces or figures standing behind them. The hotel even embraces its ghostly reputation, offering nightly ghost tours that take visitors through its most haunted locations. Despite the countless reports of paranormal activity, skeptics argue that the Stanley Hotel's reputation has been exaggerated over time. Others insist that it is one of the most haunted places in America, with spirits lingering long after their time on Earth ended. Whether a visitor arrives as a believer or a skeptic, one thing is certain: no one leaves the Stanley Hotel without a story to tell.
Thanks for watching. Come back soon for more dreaded whispers. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.